friends, I'm coming to you live from a walk. I forgot to mention one other thing. Why am I so close to the I forgot to mention one other thing. Yesterday, Clementine and I both were so relaxed and well rested from being in the overcast weather that we both went for a run. This was Clementine's idea, a run in the park. After we left the library, and she just kept going and going and going. We ran like the length of the entire park, and that's just a burst of energy for both of us from being in a little bit cooler weather or getting a break from the sun. In general, this is indoors or outdoors, because when we were in the Airbnb in Las Vegas, she would walk for like maybe 3 minutes and then turn around. So it's not just me that's affected, and not just humans, animals too. And it is way too hot, and it's a lot hotter than it used to be. I know by my birthday, when I was a young girl, it was cool, and my birthday's in September. And as I got older, it used to be cool by Halloween, and now it's not even cool in Las Vegas until like mid-November. So it's really weird. Hello friends, how are you today? I am coming to you from an actually sunny day. The overcast lasted until about 10:30, which is really nice, but now it is gone, and it is not too hot. That's also really nice, but the sun is very oppressive. I've had a pretty stressful last few days. I made like 15 videos about it. Like, I was talking to my friend on the phone, and I probably won't post any of them because I was just working through the logistics of some things. I have to renew my driver's license, and I thought it was going to be a lot of drama, but I think I can do it all online and even have it forwarded here so I don't have to go back to Las Vegas, but I thought I was going to have to, and it was very dramatic. And I made all these videos lamenting my tragic life. And now that I've moved on from it, I don't really care. And that's not the only thing. There's just so many stressors. They all come at once. So I don't know. I tried to put together a video. This might be the end of it, or this might be the thing for the next video. It's getting more and more difficult for me to come up with something that I think is even entertaining. But hopefully, I say that all the time and then I come up with something later. So, but that's it. That's it for now. Well, Clementine and I are on our first walk of the day. We drove to a different library, but it doesn't have any parking. So we had to drive back to an old library, and it doesn't open for like another 20 minutes. So we're on a little walk. And really at this point, the only motivation I have to film is so that I could have something to edit at the library, because it's a lot more interesting than just sitting there staring at the computer. I ran out of stuff to edit yesterday because I didn't have that much footage, and I really don't have anything to say today. And yesterday's video, or today's video, or I guess yesterday's video, is just me talking, and I don't even know that that's very interesting at all. So this isn't very interesting either, except for here, this is interesting. Look at this. It's a fruit tree. Did I even get the tree? I hope so. It's a fruit tree. It could be a lime. It could be a lemon. It could be an orange. I love that. Maybe I'll just start filming the scenery on the walks and at least have something to put together. Because I think I've said it all. I really have. I'm sure that there's more, and I can keep going back to the same subjects over and over again, and I likely will, because that is the whole point of the book. But I just like to take a break from that because it's unbelievably boring. I actually feel like I've already said what I have to say over and over again, and I hate to keep beating a dead horse, or keep coming back with the same information when it's just the same thing over and over again. But I do have a story to tell. I do have a mission, and it's very clear. And I could keep going back over and over it again, but it is dark and it's heavy, and it's really not my personality. And if I'm going to be on here expressing my personality, I want to do something as uplifting as possible. Of course, I do have to disseminate the information, and I do have to get the message out, but it gets draining even for me because I've been dealing with this for years. It's been years. And it is a pleasure to finally be able to get it out. It is frustrating that I still feel like I'm in sort of a bubble, but it is, once again, like I said, really nice to be able to get it out at all. For me, like I said, it is a form of justice, just to be able to tell my story at all. And then the rest of it is something that is just righteous. It's right that everybody who did this is brought to justice. So, really boring. Do you know what I mean? So we'll just, sorry, we'll just shoot a little bit of the scenery. How about that? Hello, friends. I thought I would introduce a new segment where I share the last few songs that I played on my Pandora at the gym every day. So this is a screenshot of the last few songs that I played at the gym this morning. And I think stuff like this is really interesting. I love to know what people listen to, what people are eating, what people are watching. Not necessarily what people are watching so much, but what people are listening to, what people are reading. Things like that are a lot of fun. And my music taste is pretty eclectic, as you can tell by that playlist. And maybe I'll do it again tomorrow to see how different it is. I'll also include a screenshot of... I'm going to also include a screenshot of my recent call history just to prove to you that I absolutely have 0 friends. It's actually hilarious. And I just thought those 2 things were really funny. But maybe you can listen to some of the songs on the playlist and see if you like them. And we'll see if I remember to do it again tomorrow. Actually, since we are at Rosie's Dog Beach, I thought this would be a good time to discuss another Dark World Lightwork matter. When you walk on the boardwalk on Rosie's Dog Beach, you will run into these little bathrooms, which at first glance look really cool. It's like just a public bathroom that looks like it's pretty well kept and pretty futuristic, and it's on the boardwalk. So you think, oh great, a free bathroom. And it says, free public bathrooms. But when you walk up to it, you see on the door that you have to pull out your cell phone and scan a QR code and opt into some sort of agreement in order to use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Come on now. First of all, that's making the bathroom only accessible to people who have a cell phone, which is ridiculous. I mean, because that's basically saying that there's a ton of people who are homeless who live on the boardwalk. The ones who are not able to even have a cell phone cannot even get in the bathroom. So obviously that's kind of what that's for. It's like a deterrent. And then why do you have to opt into some email thing to use a bathroom? Like, there's crappier bathrooms, there's ones that are just hosed down every once in a while and they're metal and cement and everything. And you could definitely go and use those for free. Or this one's free too, except for you have to give up your cell phone data. Huh? To use the bathroom? Like, it's bad enough that Subways in New York make you buy 3 cookies. You got to stop this, guys. It's really kind of petty. This kind of stuff is so unbelievably petty. At the end of the day, you can call it a lot of things. You could call it creepy. You could call it, what is the word? Invasion. You could call it like an invasion of privacy. You could call it like just too much control or want for control. But at the end of the day, it is just downright petty. And it needs to stop. So basically, Clementine and I were sitting here in the car, and I opened the door for a second just to get some fresh air into the cabin. And I thought to myself, it really smells like pee. Like, Southern California in general, this area, and especially this parking area, really smells like pee. And I look up to see a guy peeing on a tree right in front of me. And then this happened. Oh, and another thing, I'd say the best part about Long Beach is that it has free parking, and the worst part is that it smells like both human and dog piss. So there. And I'm not talking about the homeless people, but I'm talking about the people who have like houses and cars and all kind of things. This is how they behave. So you can imagine how the people who don't have anything behave. That is the sun frying their brains. We end up in a place like Southern California where we'll have a guy peeing next to his Tesla who is parked next to a guy who's peeing around his space that he wants to live in without people bothering him. Across the street from some people who are pissed off because the guy who's peeing around the space doesn't have a house, but he has a nicer view because he's across the street and closer to the beach than they are. And that's what goes on here in the Valley of the Shadow of Death. But this is what happens when the income gap and the wage gap and the wealth gap and the class gap is so big that people fall into it and the weather is nice. It's just people begin to act bizarrely. And it's very, very strange. And you also have this culture where people don't pay attention to anything that's in their outside of their like direct first vision, because you have people in $1 million neighborhoods, multi-million-dollar neighborhoods, walking next to homeless people when they have to go into a grocery store or when they have to go to their fancy restaurants or when they go to their fancy gym. And they have to pretend like that doesn't exist. And then that's why people in Southern California are so like detached and unfriendly, because they have to pretend like so much doesn't exist in order to be happy here in paradise, right? In the paradise weather, which is increasingly hotter every single year. So, I mean, this is a common occurrence, and I moved spots, and then there was another guy when I parked right here. Not even joking. He walked right up to the tree and peed on the tree. So, yeah.